Reach International. Next, a story of faith in the fog of war.
I'm Captain Chirs Plekenpol, and I'm commander of Apache Company 272 Armor, 1st 506 Infantry. And there's 3 letters that I'll never forget that just kind of ripped through your mind. KIA. Killed in action.
Don't miss this soldier's story of triumph and tragedy, where his faith in Jesus Christ can be the same faith to sustain you through your own personal battles. Next.
It is a privilege to come into your home. I'm James Robison. My wife Betty and I welcome you to Life Today. Let me just say right up front, from the bottom of our heart, and really I don't think there is a vocabulary adequate to describe our appreciation, our admiration for our veterans, for all who serve and who have served in the armed forces. Thank God for them. And let me just say this, every member of anyone in the armed services, you're just as much a part of that service. And in many ways, you probably feel the greater weight because there's so much unknown. Some of the military who are out on the front lines will tell you we're right there in the fray and in the mix. But back home, there's the unknown, there's the concern. And for all of you, we express our love and gratitude and want you to know that we're not only thanking God every day for every gift that you have made in providing us the gift we enjoy in our freedom and the ability that we have to enjoy, express life, and live life. Thank God for you. But we pray for every member of your family. And for those of you who've suffered losses, we just pray for the comfort of God and the peace that passes understanding that can only come from God to be yours on a continual basis. We have a captain here who served in Iraq and wrote a couple of books titled Faith in the Fog of War. And actually the follow-up book has a little subtitle, you might say, Let Us Die to Make Men Free. Captain Plekenpol is just a tremendous inspiration. He had some pretty rough blows to his faith. That's why he talked about faith in the fog of war, that would distract or even, if possible, destroy that trust and that peace. And you really have to wonder about a lot of things. Chirs is now a student at Dallas Theological Seminary, and really we're going to tell you how you can communicate not only your gratitude for him and to him, but perhaps invite him to come and communicate and speak in your church or your community. I want you to welcome to Life Today Captain Chirs Plekenpol. Would you welcome Chirs?
Thank you.
Life Today, Captain.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, buddy.
God bless you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm telling you what, I'm inspired by you've got the joy of the Lord, but when you talk about fog of war, I gotta believe that. I mean, your faith was challenged by some of the things you saw. Can you tell us about the journey that you write about and then you actually had to write a follow-up to? Tell me what's going on and what you experienced that moved you to want to really impact others.
Sure. You know, I started writing the book as a series of emails. Writing back home and explaining what was going on and putting a biblical perspective to it, because I was really wanting to, I knew people would be interested in the war, and I knew that would get an audience, and I wasn't expecting to go through the tumultuous affair that, you know, honestly, when you think about war, you think movies, you think I'm going to go there, it's going to be smooth sailing the entire time, and the bullets aren't going to be real, and no one's going to die. And for the first couple of chapters of the book, because that's what they are. It's fun, kind of just quips about the desert being really hot, you know, or the fact that we don't get very good food. And then all of a sudden, we actually take the reins of combat. And I am the authority of the highway that connected Fallujah to Ramadi was given to me. And I've got 100 men. I have 21 tanks, 7 Bradleys, which are like mini tanks, and a handful of Humvees. And we were patrolling that section of highway. And so I'm standing outside my command post, just kind of watching the heat waves bounce off the minarets of the mosque, 125 degrees outside, just blistering hot. You know, watching the Iraqi people selling ice or selling groceries on the highway there. And then there were my tanks rolling out in the sector. And the time that we were supposed to officially take over was 1400, 2 p.m. I glanced down at my watch just to kind of make sure everything's on track, and all of a sudden, boom, a massive explosion erupts about a quarter mile out. Smoke and fire build into this mushroom cloud about 250 feet high, and immediately I run into the command post. I'm trying to figure out through the situation reports that are coming across the radio what exactly is going on. Like, guys are talking all over each other. There's the gunfire in the background, the chaotic screams of just battle. And there's 3 letters that I'll never forget that just kind of rip through your mind. KIA, killed in action. First 4 minutes, I lose my first soldier. You know, and there's that moment where you want to just kind of have a moment and you kind of relax, think about what's going on, but I need to get out to the fight. So immediately I go grab my M4 carbine rifle, I put my flak vest on, I'm sprinting down to my tank the whole time thinking, we just lost a soldier. We just lost a soldier. I mount up into my tank, I charge my 50 caliber machine gun. My loader takes a 45-pound, 120mm round, puts it in the breech of the main gun. My gunner's toggling the switches on the computer while my driver's pushing our tank out to the fight. And so, you know, the emotions kind of sweeping you a little bit. And, you know, I just lost my first soldier, and all of a sudden that realization, I'm about to get my first firefight. And as we're going outside the west gate, another tank's coming back in. And the entire right side of that tank is just decimated. I mean, and Sergeant Vallant's no longer in the hatch. He now lies dead in the turret. And I can't think about that right now, because as soon as we get outside the west gate, we're taking small arms fire, machine gun fire, mortars from the north side of the Euphrates River. So we line up 3 tanks on line. We start to pound the North Shore with everything we got. Main gun fire, and I'm trying to orient the fires, trying to figure out where the terrorists are. And about 15 minutes, we start to realize they're withdrawing to the north. So I send 2 tanks across the river. I fall in my tank. I have 100 infantrymen that I've gotten from battalion to augment me, and we were searching house to house to house to house, looking for a clue as to who or what may have killed my man. And the tough thing about terrorist or insurgent warfare is that nobody's wearing uniforms. And you can't, it's not all, you know, a pretty picture. There's not, I'm asking people questions. Maybe they're telling me the truth, maybe they're not. 7 hours of searching, we find nothing. And so at the end of day 1, I'm physically exhausted, 125-degree heat, 50 pounds of gear, running around. I'm emotionally drained because, you know, I just lost my first soldier. And I got to write a letter home to his wife, Michaela, and 13-year-old daughter, Sarah, and explain to them how I let their father and husband die. I'm a military commander. You have one job, is to bring back everybody home alive. And then that night, I remember, you know, getting together my men and just briefing everybody, saying, you know what, man, check it out. Tomorrow, you're going to get shot at. Tomorrow, a bomb is probably going to blow up your tank. And we're going to be doing this for the next 364 days. I need you to mount up, I need you to suck it up. And we prayed. But spiritually, honestly, there's a point at which you're kind of looking up at God going, I don't know what you're doing. It definitely doesn't feel like you're right here. Now, I came to faith where Christ came alive in my heart, and I accepted him, you know, his sacrifice on the cross for my sins, his resurrection at 22. And here I am 5 years later, you know, I feel like my faith's pretty seated. But there's a moment where you're sitting there going, are you going to be good through this? Because we had this deal worked out, you know, and I wasn't expecting combat to come around. You know, 99 is when I came to faith, and so 2001, that's when 9/11 hits, and then a couple years beyond that, here I am in Iraq. And so there's that real sense, and here's the lesson I learned for this. This is just the, if I could go back and tell you what the entire book is with one sentence, I can never let my current circumstances determine the presence of God. He is always with me. And that's the challenge that, honestly, in our day-to-day life, because here's the thing, the fog of war is not just in combat. And the funny thing was, I was writing back to the States to my family and to people going through their everyday world, and I would get back saying, you know, thank you for praying for me, or thank you for what you wrote, because I started to understand that it doesn't have to be combat, but that God is going to be good through no matter what my circumstances. And that's, again, that's where my heart beats, to show people God's goodness. And he's a loving father that wants to just take his children and show them how much he loves them, no matter what the circumstance.
Would you like to just say thanks to all the military and say thanks to Chris and thanks for the family and that wife and daughter you mentioned a moment ago? And you lost several other